Well, hello there. Hello, hello.
Oh,
Hello, Reggie. Hello, Theresa.
I'm glad to be here with you all.
No, we're extremely excited to have you here, Teresa, with us. And it's been a while since we've all connected. And Teresa, on a personal level, it's been a while since you and I had this nice banter. So it's great to kind of get you back into the fold. And happy New Year to you. And I wish you all nothing but abundance. But everybody tuning in, welcome to the Great Rebaters Show. It's been a while since we've all connected. Hope everyone's doing well. And of course, we have our co-host here, Mark Gilham, the evangelist. And, Mark, you got a lot of things, on the horizon in terms of events, conferences, and so forth. But what are you looking forward to the most in 2024?
I think you're absolutely right. Lots on the horizon, but I think it's important you look closer. Enjoy what's happening right now. So obviously we have this webinar to start with. Enjoying this as we progress. Tomorrow, Reggie, I'm flying over the pond into your neighborhood, and this weekend we're going to have some wings. I owe you wings. We had a secret side bet. I lost, so wings for Reggie.
All right.
Taste buds are salivating right now.
Yeah, a whole week with the team in Toronto. So Enable, it's a global business, so it means we were a bit spread out. So it's nice when we all come together. And then I'm on the road, so almost straight afterwards with one of our partners talking pricing. And then I've got lots of other events, but I suppose, and you haven't prompted me on this, so I'm guessing maybe it could be Catalyze, our big event. So we're going to be in Boston in May talking strategies for rebates, for so many areas that rebates touch upon. And so really looking forward to that. But going right back to my first point, this is where I'm excited right now.
This very moment. I love that. I love that. I'm excited too because we got Theresa Caragol here with us today. And Theresa, you know what? Everyone needs to know who you are. So Theresa is the founder and CEO of a brilliant company called AchieveUnite. Just the name of it, just sounds just like powerful, right? Like we could achieve like some amazing things if we actually unite and come together. So tell everyone about yourself. Let's do a quick introduction.
Well, thank you. Well, Theresa Caragol, founder and CEO of AchieveUnite, a former tech executive with a number of tech companies, and then started my own entrepreneurial journey because, as you know, Reggie, I was traveling around the world and had these two little boys at home and just hated leaving them for a week at a time. And so decided to take a right angle turn and started consulting. And then about a year in, I said, if boys can build companies, I can build a company. And so fast forward several years later, we have an amazing company, AchieveUnite, partnering success. Everything we do is about partnering and trust building and growth and helping organizations really learn how to partner successfully and grow their businesses and their routes to market, especially in this new world of the ecosystem. And then helping people. And so our fastest growing business right now is the people development, because a lot of these companies are making a commitment to this, but you can't do it unless your people are operating at the right level. And so we do a lot of work in leadership development and in partnering development and in trust building. And I'll tell you about that later in the show. So yeah, that's me. I have two little boys who are not so little anymore. Now they're 10 and 15. My 15-year-old goes to school at Gonzaga High School in Washington, D.C., and like the first week of school, I was like, my kid's not going on the metro. I'm going to drive my kid into school every day. And like within a week, he's on the train at the train station and he's become a young man overnight. And I have a wonderful 10-year-old who loves to do sports and straight A's and a good boy. So,
That's
and two
awesome.
dogs, two Vizslas as well.
Oh man, you see, the next time we bring you on, we need to bring the dogs on with you.
Oh, Buddy will probably come up here and say hi to all of you somewhere today.
Cool. No, we love that. And hey, listen, these kids grow up super fast, right? So he's not quite at the adulting phase, but he's getting there. I mean,
He's getting
time
close.
goes like by super fast, so that's
They
awesome.
grow up a lot faster these days than maybe when we all grew up. Although you guys are much younger than me, so
Oh,
anyway.
we're kind of the same age.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly. But Mark, just to kind of give you some background in terms of how Teresa and I know each other. So again, being in the incentive space, I had the pleasure of actually attending a series of Teresa's sessions with Achieve Unite, and I must say, especially everything I learned when it comes to partner development, how to build and foster trust was at the core of everything that we discussed, right? But it wasn't just about like the material and the content that was delivered. It was about the actual experience. It was about the openness. And Teresa and her team is really good at facilitating that discussion. You can't in order to build a relationship, what she did, which was really fantastic, was just made sure that everyone was comfortable. We kind of get hung up with the whole camera issue or get camera shy and this and that, but she made it a safe space for that everybody could kind of share their own experience and share best practices in terms of how
Yeah.
to
Well,
be.
and there's a number of adult learning philosophies. One is adults learn best when they're applying real life scenarios and real life information. They learn best when they're speaking and talking and interacting with one another. They learn best when they're on a long-term plan of if you really want to change behavior. It doesn't happen in one day of a training program or anything like that. It's a much longer term. Yeah. So we subscribe to all of those philosophies, and you experienced it firsthand.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. So as we dive into this, speaking of partnerships, and Mark could probably riff on this too. At Enable, we're big on partnerships, collaboration across trading partners and so forth. So maybe we could kind of start with like, what are some of the common themes or threads that you're seeing, Teresa, from the interactions that you have with a variety of different companies and so forth, as people are trying to build tighter relationships? What are some of the common, let's say, challenges that people are seeing right now, and what are like the remedies to kind of create a better relationship?
Well, I think first and foremost is a mindset in the organization, which I call the DNA, and then a mindset in the people, which is can't really go it alone anymore. And you have to build a partnering culture, DNA in your organizations, and you have to have a strong strategy for it because there's so many influencers affecting all of our business and affecting all the people that we are clients, that they have to be involved and you have to have a way to attract and to work with them. So number one premise is partnering is everywhere and we all have to get good at it. The second part is it all starts with trust. And we have a site, the first psychometric index in the world that's scientifically validated. Markets from University of Glasgow, Arizona State, and Notre Dame professors who helped us build after 3 years of research. And it's scientific and it measures trust. And so we can now figure out how people build trust, how they accelerate trust, which is the foundation of all partnering. And then the third thing is organizations have to build, like I think about what you all do, right? Incentives and rebates. You have to build structure around partnering so that you can scale. Otherwise, you're back to one-to-one relationships, which don't scale, And so partnering is all about achieving business and trust and all of those things at scale. And so I think you guys obviously do a phenomenal job in that arena. And then the last thing is it's moved from being, okay, Enable's going to do business with a partner. Now there's a whole ecosystem and we all have to play in this ecosystem and we have to build our own ecosystem and our own communities. And, your event is a great example. I look forward to hopefully speaking at your event this year. And there's a opportunity that we're building and playing in our own sandboxes, right? And we're playing in multiple sandboxes. And so that's really important as well. Does that help?
No, it helps greatly. Mark, what are some of your thoughts on, what Teresa mentioned in terms of the key areas that she looks at and helps businesses establish, tighter relationships and better partnerships?
I think one of the first things Theresa mentioned was trust. And for me, I think, life is just full of partnerships.
Mhm.
Even if you don't realize it, going to your local supermarket or grocer, there's a degree of trust. If
Yeah,
you,
true.
otherwise you'd go elsewhere. You trust your car. You trust, you trust the metro to get your son safely to where he needs to be.
Mhm. Mhm.
When trust is undone, and it can be undone in an instant,
Mhm.
that's when things go wrong. But
That's right.
the trust that you've got in all of the things I mentioned before, you didn't instantly get them. Even if you thought, well, I instantly trust the metro, no, you didn't.
Right.
That's been years and years of influence.
Mhm.
From your first steps as a little child going on the metro and not having a bad
Mhm.
experience so actually when it comes to these partnerships, that they're exactly the same. They
That's
take
right.
time to be built, and they need to be nurtured, and
Mhm.
it is recognizing it's not one-to-one. Even though it could be two representatives from a business, there's a lot more influence in that
Yeah.
partnership. Um,
We say trust is gained in drops and lost in buckets.
mhm.
And then the other thing, Mark, that I see is people are still learning how to have those hard conversations, because part of why it gets lost in buckets is something bad happens
Mhm.
and then we all run away, or we avoid we don't go take it head on. And so part of what we teach in our programs is navigating these conversations and learning how to have them in a very structured, very successful way.
Yeah, and I think honesty really
Mhm.
important. And I don't mean this from the perspective of people lying, but
Right.
if I think about, if I'm going out to play some sport, my wife says, "What time are you going to be home?" Because she's making a meal, and I
Mhm.
think it's going to be a late one today, but I think I don't want to tell her that, so I say, "Oh, it'll be early."
Right.
Um, all I've done is I've avoided the short-term pain, but actually I'm going to damage trust.
That's a
Um,
great example. You're right. And it's that small, right?
yeah. A-
Um,
And so when people are negotiating,
mhm.
then now that's the time to say, I don't think we can achieve that, or that will
Mhm.
not work for us, rather than, you know, trading and trading and trading. And
Mhm.
then, like you say, everybody runs away because it's like, oh, this isn't working. It's like, well,
Right.
somebody would
One of
have known
the
from the outset it wasn't going to
One
work.
of the things, Mark, we teach in our programs also is this whole concept of, if I focus on the other person and the company and their goals and their needs and work back into my own, as opposed to, I got to go sell my product and get my things out to you, it
Yeah.
totally shifts and actually accelerates the trust.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's really interesting you mentioned that, because I remember going on a sales course very early in my career, which was all about psychology. And what it
Mhm.
said was, don't ask for anything until you know what the other person wants,
Right.
um,
Right.
because then you know what to offer. And that's exactly the same. So not only does it help build trust, it actually helps you just to be more successful.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was always, and you can apply that anywhere in the boardroom. If you are in the boardroom and you've got an agenda and you need something approved by another stakeholder, you want to see what everybody else wants first before
Mhm.
you lay all your cards on the table. And so yeah, and that's not, that is just being sensible, and I think and measured in how you approach things. So yeah, I've always believed in, it's just a nice way to do business.
Yeah,
Building
absolutely.
building trust, building partnerships. It feel to me, and I know people are different, but to me, that's when I get that kind of warm feeling, when you've really helped somebody, and
Mhm.
you've done something. What's the right way to put it? Absolutely in their interests.
Mhm.
Uh, and good sales is like that, because as much as sometimes sales can be a bit hard and a bit pushy, it is, what's the right way to put this? it should always be, though, actually in the interests of the customer. So, for example,
yeah, we're moving to, in fact, the book that I have coming out this summer is about partnering is sales 3.0. You know, if you really learn how to partner successfully with your clients and help them achieve their goals and help them grow their business, and all of a sudden yours grows as well, you know, and how do you really adopt that and instill that in your salespeople, in your partner managers, in your product development people, in your finance people, you know, because if you learn this culture of partnering, you also start to break down silos. You start to be a more inclusive leader. You start to be, you know, you start to not be, maybe you're in finance, but you're not a sales prevention specialist. You're trying to help them achieve their goals. You know, like there's so many internal benefits of partnering too in company cultures when we drive this sort of a DNA.
And I was actually chatting to, and Reggie knows this gentleman, so Christopher Loader from Pros. I was chatting to him earlier because we're partnered with them. And we were talking very similar to this subject. And one of the things he said is, if you look at competition, competition is almost like a bit like a partnership as well, because a healthy competition is good. And when you look at some of the highest performing competitors in the world, they're actually very close to their competitors. Whether that's sports people, you know, golfers, they're all competing, yet, you know, in many cases, there's that respect and there is that. Absolutely. And so actually a partnership can actually be with the ones that are helping you. And I almost see it as, well, you're almost in partnership as an industry together as well.
100%. You know, this notion of, I call it the partnering trust growth mindset, and abundance versus, you know, like there's only this much to go around. You know what? There's way more to go around. And the more you help and the more you put out and the more good, the more things that come back. It's just, it's amazing how it works.
And I think Theresa, just kind of riff on that. You know, you talk about mindset, and this is exactly what a critical component that you teach. That has to be established, right? Because a lot of people say the buzz, and I call it like a buzzword. Like, this is just me personally speaking. I want to partner. I want to partner. I want to partner with you. I want to partner with you. Okay, but do you know how to partner? Do you know what that looks like, right? So I love what both you and Mark are saying, because on one end of it, it's about listening to what the other person actually needs and what they require, and what they want, and what they desire, what the final outcome looks like for them. So that you can gain a solid understanding, so that you can really, you know, leverage whatever you bring in terms of value to the table to actually help them accomplish what they need to get done. And then there's that natural exchange. Well, I want to say natural a lot, because some people kind of go in it one-sided, but a solid relationship is obviously having that flow, that rhythm of providing value in exchange for, you know, what you bring. So yeah, that mindset really and truly has to be established between both parties.
I am putting into the chat right now. We just published this week. I published a whole thing around building this mindset and this recipe for how you can cultivate that, you know, both in yourself and in your organization. So I'm just going to put it into the chat so that people can see it. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. You know, that is critical. And then it has to happen individually. And by the way, you know where I see the challenges right now? Not so much at the individual contributor level. I see the mindset challenge at these first line managers, these leaders, where they have so much influence and they're in a fixed mindset and they're not in a learning, curiosity, improving, doing this. And I think it's great that we go educate the individual contributors, but what we're trying to do more of is, I don't want to educate the individual contributors until I make sure the managers are totally gonna go enforce this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, you must be reading my mind, because I was about to say that I've seen good partnerships. I've seen, I'm not going to call it bad, but how it could be done better. Here's the thing: leadership in many of the businesses I've worked on are very short-term focused. It's, will we hit our numbers this month, this week, in some cases, this quarter, at best this year. I've never seen anybody go beyond that. And so there's lots of strategies and tactics at play to achieve those things. But to me, a partnership isn't a strategy. It's more like a culture. So you suddenly, for 2 years of explosive growth, then you say, right, now we're going to have a partnership strategy. It's very difficult, because actually it's like saying, right, now we're going to change our culture. For me, partnerships is having that mindset and building those ecosystems. I mean, I'm no scientist, but I'm pretty sure if you researched the creation of an ecosystem from a scientific perspective, then flick a switch and an ecosystem exists.
You're exactly right.
And that realization for a business is you have to invest in things like your culture. You have to invest in your partnerships. Just like, again, in your personal life, you have to invest in these things. And you will get out of it what you put in.
Put into it.
And I do see that a lot of businesses, pricing strategy is an example. So a lot of prices talk about it takes 5 to 7 years for a pricing strategy to yield results, the maturity. How do we get the C-suite to pay attention to that? Because they want their typical tenure may be only 3 years. And I suspect, to your point, that's why the partnership strategy may be lacking in some businesses, is because they're not looking that far ahead.
It's true. And I think that's a danger right now. There's a danger for organizations. I see it all the time with these SaaS companies. They're these emerging SaaS vendors, and they think, oh, I can go it alone, or I'll have a direct and I'll go get partners. Well, who's going to want to work with you if you're going to have a mixed strategy and you only have 5 carrots to go around anyway? Like, there's a lot of these fundamental premises that I think are flawed inside of some of these organizations. And what happens a year later is they're not successful. They fail, because they can't go fast enough. And, let's face it, there's an average of 35 touches in a SaaS company's customer journey of different organizations and people touching the decision makers and the influencers. 35 in a decision maker. So how does Enable as an organization do all 35 themselves? It's not going to happen, And so how do you have an ecosystem of people throughout the customer journey that you're partnered with, that are reinforcing your message, that are validating your message, that are influencing those? It's just not binary anymore.
I saw something really powerful from Jay McBain, and he was talking about, in the modern economy, having a scalable sales force as well. And to me, partnerships work so well in that perspective, because technically, you've only got a cost if your partner gets you business.
Right.
Like a salesperson who costs you no matter what.
That's right.
And so I see, you're always going to need your own sales force, but to the more scalability comes with when you complement that with a really good partnerships strategy.
Yeah. Well, and you think about the sellers, I was just on the phone with a new client yesterday, and the sellers have to sell differently, because many of us grew up with sellers where it was binary, where I owned this account. And by the way, in this ecosystem, nobody owns an account. Nobody's going to own. It doesn't even, you might be the lead, you might be driving your own solution, but you don't own that account. They own themselves, And so there's this whole mentality shift that has to happen for the sellers, that they have to figure out how to leverage partners in their own ecosystem way more successfully. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And also, as much as you've got your partners, I almost see, because we're talking about an ecosystem doesn't say you can be in, but you can't.
Right.
An ecosystem, is constantly changing. It's very dynamic. A partner, to those touch points you've mentioned, one of those could be an existing customer.
Right.
It could be a former employee. It could be anything like this. And so if you've got that mindset of, and you mentioned it earlier, people, and if you've got that people mindset, when these touch points occur, positivity is going to occur at the same time. But if you kind of put your arms round and just say, no, this is mine, and I'm not sharing my cake. It's my birthday party. Everybody else can leave. Your next birthday, nobody comes to the party.
Right. It's so true. I know. And I think this is a shift. There is a market shift. There's a chasm. There's a big change that's happening right now, which is what, our book is really about in the spring or summer. We'll see exactly the publishing date with Forbes, but we're getting there. So it's quite exciting.
No, we're looking forward to that book because we know there's going to be key insights in there.
And AI is impacting this pretty dramatically, right? Because now we can do business differently. We have productivity tools differently. So we're also really focused on the AI impact of partnering and how these two come together.
Yeah, like maybe touch upon that for real quick. Like, what's an instance where AI could obviously help contribute to the cycles that are generated through relationship building? We talked about there's so many multiple factors of influence here, right?
Yeah,
I know you talked about obviously AI tools being more of that productive, helping aid in that productivity. Where do you see it for you? Where do you see
Well,
it?
I definitely see the knowledge sharing as a big part of, right now, our Partnering Success Hub and our AI engine, whose name is Bob. Bob O'Malley was a 6-time CEO and is one of the big influencers of AchieveUnite. And so the AI engine, his name's Bob. So Bob is really good at sharing knowledge, and not the public knowledge. He's really good at sharing, enable specific partnering knowledge coupled with AchieveUnite's partnering success knowledge, coupled with trust building knowledge, and then answering a question based on all of that learning that it's doing, which is very different than sort of the general ChatGPT knowledge sharing. I think we're going to see AI in the community building space, because we're doing some really unique things in that space where you can assess yourself, but then other people can assess you. And so we're doing that in our platform, and it's having quite an impact, and it's also deepening the relationships. And then you know what someone else thinks of you, and you know what to go learn with the AI engine yourself and where you need to focus. So early days, but it's really exciting. And I'm so blessed that we're going to be on the cusp and on the front end of this, as opposed to, when I had first started the company 6 years ago, I might've been sort of looking up at a hill and not, now I feel like we're looking back and figuring it all out, and we get to be part of bleeding edge.
Okay, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. And we're looking forward to when you bless us in the world with this amazing book that's going to come out, because I know, again, it's going to have some key nuggets in there. Now, I know we got to close the curtain on this conversation. This time is of the essence, but listen, Theresa, we truly appreciate your time.
Thank you.
The thought leadership that you provide. And, hopefully we can see you at Catalyze, hopefully, right? So we'll see. We'll talk more about that.
We can pre-launch the book there potentially.
Yeah. Cool.
Great.
Well, thank you for your time, and everybody else that's tuning in. Thank you for your time as well. And, hopefully you found this very fruitful. So looking forward to future discussions. Mark, I'll see you in Toronto fairly soon.
See you for wings.
Yeah, see you for wings, buddy.
I was going to try to see that guy. There he is.
No, there he is.
Pops his head in. He's the 2-year-old that's a little naughty, but his name is Buddy. Awesome. Well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Day. I loved it.
Appreciate it. Take care. Bye.